Welcome to Attenuation, a weekly podcast where two friends come together to drink beer, discuss beer styles and trends, and just generally ruminate on the meaning of life, aka beer. If you enjoy your time with us, we invite you to become a weekly listener and subscribe to the podcast. Without further ado, here is this week's episode.
Hello, and welcome to episode 98 of Attenuation, a beer podcast. My name is Jason, and I'm joined by my best friend since 8th grade, Steven.
Hello.
How's it going today, sir?
So good.
You ready for another episode of the podcast? It's been a little while.
Yeah, so ready. Actually, if I'm diligent, we might be able to get 2 episodes out within the span of 2 weeks.
Yeah, like
it's been a while since we recorded, but we just released last week. So.
Scheduling magic. So today we're going to return to Deep Dive. It's one of my favorite types of episodes. So we're going to talk about the Bruery.
The Bruery.
Yeah, sorry. Not
like which one?
Yeah, it's a pretty clever name. We'll get into the details of that when we get into the deep dive. But, as is tradition, we have to start out with our favorite segment, which is drinking beer.
Yep.
Oh, the way this works is I introduce my beer, give nose notes. Steven does the same. Then we cheers and give our tasting notes.
All right, what do you got going on today?
So today, I'm excited, but then I opened Tavour to remind myself of this beer, so when I ordered it, there was like no reviews, and now there's a bunch of reviews because it's been in my fridge for like 6 months, and everyone's like, it's gross. I'm really worried, but it's Wiley Roots Imperial. It says Cinnamonstah, so I don't know how to say it. It's like a funny way to
Cinnamon.
It's cinnamon Stah. It's almost like Cinnamonstah, but with an H at the end.
Okay.
So I don't know if that means something. But basically, it's a American Imperial Stout, 10.5%, and it has vanilla, graham crackers, and cinnamon were used. So I was excited because I love cinnamon beers, and it sounded like it's going to taste like... What are those like little teddy bear cookies?
Teddy Grahams?
Teddy Grahams. Like cinnamon Teddy Graham beer. So people online said there's chunks in it because I think they might actually put graham crackers. So
I will say Wiley Roots, they do a lot of smoothie sours too.
Okay.
That's their big thing, so they're pretty good at making like thick beers.
All right, so I poured it out. It has almost no carbonation. It's very, 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 very dark. Looks like flat Coke. It smells boozy, cinnamon, very nice cinnamon smell. Kind of like candied cinnamon almost. And it does have like a cracker. Yeah, cracker, vanilla. For a second, it smelled like a ginger snap, but now I'm not getting the ginger. But you know, like that dark, like a dark cookie smell.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of cinnamon, vanilla. It almost smells like a little bit like plum too. I think I'm gonna like it, but we'll see. Maybe they got bad ones and I got the good one.
Never read reviews, man. Just make up your own
I know.
mind.
Gotta go in blind.
Okay. Well, I have a very exciting tasting today. So it's actually kind of cool. It's just a little bit of a celebration of some of the newer distribution to Texas. So yeah, it's very exciting that I can get these 2 beers in Texas now. With the 2 breweries are Toppling, Goliath, and Other Half, both which have started distribution. Jason's shaking his head.
Yeah, the listener can't see me, but I'm...
See your disdain?
My disdain and envy. Well, because you texted me this picture of an Other Half beer, and you're like, I just bought this at the grocery store, and I was like, what?
Yeah, I can believe that, like, at my local grocery store, it just had a whole shelf of Other Half. And so, I will say, I've been noticing Other Half, like, come on, like, it's been at my local bottle shop and stuff like. So I realized that they were starting to distribute here.
Okay.
But it wasn't the best stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it was just sort of a like, oh, okay, that would be cool to get these. And then all of a sudden there's a shelf of like all Citra everything, all green everything, Green City. Just all of their best beers on the shelf. So I was like, oh, okay, now it's real now.
Yeah, I mean, and once you're getting those, yeah, I'm very jealous. I don't know if they're distributing it all the way out to California, but maybe I'll do some research after this episode.
Yeah, so I have all Citra everything from Other Half, which is a double dry hopped double IPA, and it's all Citra, of course. So I thought I would pair it up against King Sue, which I was also inspired by by our tech stream, because I was saying that like now that I can get King Sue or Pseudo Sue whenever I want.
Oh yeah.
Like I barely ever buy it.
Yeah, it's like the local phenomenon. If you live close to like,
Like how I lived near Yosemite and I didn't go there until
exactly.
I was in my 30s.
It's that phenomenon, but like you like instantly take it for granted. Well, after the novelty wears off of like, oh, I could buy this, then you're like, yeah, I'm sick of it.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I was at Total Wine yesterday, and I was like, okay, I'll get some King Sue. I would have bought Pseudo Sue, but it was kind of old.
Yeah, you got to check the dates on those. Okay, so we're doing King Sue and other half all Citra everything?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
And as far as I know, King Sue is all Citra.
I think it is. Okay, I'm looking in while you're pouring those, I got to see which other halves I've had. I don't know if I've had that one.
And all Citra everything was our favorite beer at the Firestone Walker Invitational too.
Oh, that's right.
The all Citra everything, like you open the can and it's just like pure mango aromas. It's incredible. Like from across the room, you can smell it.
I have not had that one, so I'm jealous.
These are gonna probably taste like frighteningly similar to each other.
I'm really curious which one you're gonna prefer. That's actually all I care about, is which one you think is better.
Really, now at this point in my craft beer like journey, this is all I want to do. I want to do side by sides of like really, really, really good beers.
It's really fun because it's like you can decide which one is the best to you personally, of course.
They're both pretty similar in color, hazy double IPAs, kind of orange, golden. I would say the King Sue is like just a tinge paler than the all Citra everything. Aroma wise, King Sue, a lot of mango, but definitely some like pineapple and orange mixed in there, like tangerine.
Okay.
Whereas the all Citra everything, mango dominates with more of a like blood orange background to it.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, King Sue's like a little bit brighter. I think maybe that pineapple and pine sort of comes off the King Sue a little bit more than the all Citra everything. Okay, here goes.
All right, cheers, buddy. Well, you get double cheers.
Double cheers.
Okay, this is not bad. It's not fantastic. It's so on entrance, you definitely get cinnamon, vanilla, chocolate, graham cracker. There's kind of a weird booze note in the development, and then it just kind of breaks apart in the finish. I don't know.
Okay.
It's just kind of like there's all these flavors hit you right up front, and then it's kind of like you get the booze, and then there's just not really. I'm probably biased because I'm used to like barrel aged. I bet if this is barrel aged, it'd be amazing. But so I would say for like just for a stout, it's pretty good, and it definitely comes across. I think they kind of nailed what they were trying to do. So I think it's a thumbs up for what it is, but I probably wouldn't try it again.
Yeah.
But it's not bad.
One and done.
And I didn't get a bunch of chunks in mine. That's what people were complaining about online. Mine poured clean, so I don't know. Maybe there was some of the cans had a bunch of chunks in them for some reason.
Yeah, didn't get filtered out or something.
Yeah, I don't know. But I want to hear what you decided was better.
Well, like I said, these are like eerily similar to each other. I did want to mention King Sue's 7.8%. All Citra everything is 8.5%. Mm-hmm. And I will say, I think so. I'll start with King Sue. King Sue, sweet orange, pineapple, zero bitterness, and then it almost has a little bit of a cantaloupe melon note to it as well. But yeah, just zero bitterness, very juicy, very bright. Kind of the bright pine comes through as well. 7.8%, no booze at all. The all Citra everything, it is much more orange through the whole tasting. Okay. A little bit of like orange peel in there as well. Like it brings a little bit more bitterness than the King Sue, but kind of has this like vanilla, like dreamsicle kind of aftertaste to it. Like that, it's just so much orange, sweet orange, that you get this like nice sort of dreamsicle flavor throughout, and just you get the booze just a little bit more than you do with the King Sue. I think they're both really, really good.
I see you struggling to decide.
I think I have to choose King Sue.
I knew you were gonna say it.
Yeah, only because it's just a little bit more.
There's a little
I don't know. I guess get more expression of like all the flavors of the Citra hop. It's like all Citra, everything really like focuses in on the orange.
It sounds like it's a little bit more one-dimensional.
Yeah,
which is not necessarily a bad thing, but like
no, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
it's amazing that like you can just get flavors like this out of hops. You know what I mean? But no, I think the King Sue, just from the standpoint of being a little bit more multidimensional and brighter. I like that bright pine in my IPAs. So,
all right, you have to bear with me for 1 second.
Okay.
This is very bad podcasting.
You have a can of King Sue.
This is when I think you brought this. I think this is the one we had together. I keep a very few cans in my office, just empty 16-ounce cans, and King Sue is one of them. So I had to show Steven really quick.
That's awesome. Hey, it's a great beer.
It's really good. Yeah. Well, I'm happy that Toppling Goliath was able to defeat Other Half, at least for you in this instance. I'll have to try. I looked in my Untapped app. I've had 5 beers from Other Half, but I've never had All Citra Everything.
Yeah, because I think you've had like Daydream or whatever it's called, or
like Mylar, Triple Mylar, Daily Daydream. I get a lot of the weird ones that end up on Tavour, but I think they sometimes get all Triple Everything. I've had Triple Mylar, Daydream, Vapor Rings, All Nilsson Everything, Double Mosaic Dream, and then I had a Stout from them, Deep Orbit, Centurious.
Oh yeah.
So all those were fantastic. Other Half is like they don't miss.
Yeah, no, it's getting really. It's nice that they're like, not only are they distributing more widely, but you can almost always get their stuff on Tavour. So.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So thumbs up on both of them. Obviously, I think.
Thumbs up. King Sue wins this round.
All right. Cool. All right, so next we have Postscripts, Beer News, and Storytime with Steve. So Postscripts is when we fix or follow up on things from previous episodes, and then Beer News and Storytime with Steve are self-explanatory. We do have a postscript. I think Steven and I both tackled it. We talked a lot about ChatGPT and some of the other AI programs last episode, and one of the things I wanted to see if it could do was rank the Cycle Brewing days series. So they make their Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I think they make one for each day of the week.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to rank them for me. And so I got like an app on my phone. It costs money, but they give you like a free week or whatever. And I asked it to rank it, and I was very disappointed because it said, as an AI language model, I don't have access to real-time customer rankings or specific data on customer preferences for Cycle Brewing's day, in quotes, Stout series, which I was pretty impressed that it was like, it knew what I was talking about.
Yeah.
But it said, I will give you a general order based on popular opinions and reviews. So it's kind of a little disclaimer that I don't think it's not able to like interface with Beer Advocate and, pull actual data, unfortunately. That'd be way cooler. So I told Steven in the pre-roll, like, I can't wait till we get to that level, like, where it can actually pull data from like Beer Advocate, Untapped, and give me like the ranking data. But I was actually quite impressed with what it did. It did rank them for me, and then it said, please note individual preferences may vary, and it gave a really long description of each one. So, for example, Wednesday, it said, this bourbon barrel-aged Imperial Stout is known for its complexity and depth, and the specific characteristics may depend on the barrel used. And sometimes it would talk about, like, chocolate notes, vanilla notes. So it did a decent job, I think. Obviously, it's just, like, skimming data.
Yeah.
So I was, like, slightly impressed and slightly underwhelmed at the same time. Because I really wish it could have pulled the ranking datas and it just gave me, like, the ranking. Did you? I think you also tried it and had a similar experience.
Yeah, similar answer. And I rephrased the question multiple different ways to try and get it to like give me exactly what I wanted. But yeah, I mostly just kind of was like, here they are, here's descriptions of all of them, and like taste is, subjective. So
it said that a lot, which was interesting.
It couldn't rank. Yeah. And I was like, well, no, I didn't want you to rank them. I don't want you to
I don't ChatGPT. Okay. You can't drink beer. I don't care what you think.
I want it to be based on the reviews you see online. But yeah, it was like, I think it's having a hard time accessing certain data.
Right. So we're not quite there yet. I also told Steven the pre-roll. I don't know if it was on my phone. I don't know if it's in beta or whatever, but on Amazon, I was looking at a product, and I always read Amazon reviews, even though like they're almost worthless at this point because
yeah.
I mean, this has been happening for like 5-7 years now, but sellers will give products away for free and in exchange for 5-star reviews. So like everything has a 5-star review now, but it does this cool thing where it gives you an AI summary of every review. So it'll say like most customers liked this function of the product, but a minority of customers found that, like it would break after 3 days or whatever. So it's kind of cool because you can get a feel for all of the reviews in a single like paragraph.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a weird time to be alive.
Oh, that's great. Well, so I did like go through on Beer Advocate and pull all of them up.
Okay, you did it manually.
Yeah, and it looks like Friday and Sunday are like the 2 highest ranked cycle stout, like day of the week stouts.
Okay.
And then Saturday had a 90. So Friday and Sunday both had like 94s. It's kind of hard because like it depends. Like sometimes it's the year, it's the certain vintage that's being reviewed on Beer Advocate.
It is hard, and they do like one-offs where they do like adjuncted versions, and
So, but in general, I think Friday and Sunday are the highest ranked, and then Saturday is kind of your third. And past that, like the earlier days in the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are all pretty similar, like in the low 90s.
Yeah, I will say it did help me focus. I think I want Sunday because I read all the descriptions. And Sunday is the cinnamon and vanilla one, and I love cinnamon in a stout. Yeah. All right. Well,
we gotta get that Hunapu again.
I know. We have a lot of news this episode too, and we have to start with some disastrous news.
Yeah.
So GSL. I think it's GSL. That's the shipping solution logistics company that Tavour relies on for my distribution area. Lost my Tavour box.
So sad.
It's gone, Steven. Someone's drinking all my beers right now. There was a...
Or it fell off a truck or something.
Rusty nail in there. There was the #1 ranked old ale.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Which was was a gift for my dad for Father's Day. So I had to tell him, it's gone. So I emailed Tavour. Well, I called GSL because normally I get like texts and they say, it's on the way. It'll be here Wednesday. You got to sign for it. And then, Wednesday rolls around. And it's like, it's out for delivery. You get all this information. They're pretty good about it, actually.
Yeah.
I just got no texts for like a whole week. And then I was like, where is this box? So I looked on GSL and it had the weirdest message of like it missed a transfer date or something. I was like, that doesn't look good. So I called GSL and after like 20 minutes of being on hold and chatting with her, she's like, oh, we're so sorry, sir, this box is lost, like you need to reach out to the shipper. So then I emailed Tavour and I was like, I think GSL lost my crate. They were super nice about it, and obviously they refunded all the money and the shipping, but they were like, there's nothing we can do. Like, there's no way we can replace this set of beers.
Put this box together.
Yeah, like, it's all, all that stuff's gone. So I was super sad because some of that stuff, I just don't know if it's going to pop up again. But so now I'm kind of like turned off Tavour. I know it's not their fault. It's GSL's fault. But I'm like, man, I don't want to lose another crate.
Well, I mean, probably that would never happen again.
I know, it's like 1 in 1,000, but... Yeah,
but one of the my main complaints with Tavour has always been their third-party shippers at the tail end of the, like, my box always arrives at my local shipper, and then for some inexplicable reason it takes a week and a half for them to get it to me, and this their headquarters is like 10 minutes from my house.
It's so frustrating. Like, what are you guys doing?
In fact, I even just went there and picked up my box from them.
Wait, really? Was that faster?
One time I think I was coming out to see you, actually.
Okay.
Or we were going, I think it was before we went to Seattle. And I was bringing you a rusty nail or something. And I thought for sure I was going to get here on time. And then, no, I'm watching the box. And I just called them. I was like, is it faster if I just go pick it up from you? And they were like, oh yeah, probably. Like, okay.
Wow.
I'm just gonna come get it. So, and then of course, like, when you get to the building, it's just this industrial building, right? And there's no front office. Like, they don't expect to see people coming to pick. So they
it's
have,
not set up for
it's not set up for picking stuff up. So they're like all confused as to why you're there and
That's wild.
where your box is, and it's just
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah, my Tavour box was lost to the wind. So I hope someone out there is at least drinking those beers and enjoying them, because that would make my heart happy. If it just fell off a truck and all the beer cracked and leaked into the cement, that was a waste. But I hope some human somewhere imbibed it.
Oh man! Speaking of that, I think I told you, but I have like my beer fridge in my garage, and I had it in the door of the fridge, because that's like where a lot of these bottles can stand up. You know, like the bigger bottles. I had all these fancy beers in bottles like in that door, and we were getting ready for a trip, and we were like packing the ice chest. We were getting some stuff out, and my daughter opened the door to the beer fridge, and the shelf holder thing like came off like against the weight of all those big bottles, and they like came crashing out of the fridge.
Yeah.
And my daughter was like freaking out because she thought my whole beer collection was gone.
So like the whole door fell off?
Like the whole, like the shelf,
the rack
has the rack, like it has that forms the shelf basically, like popped off. And so, but miraculously there was only one beer that actually broke and was spilling. So like it looked bad at first, but then I realized like no, it's just one bottle.
Okay, so you saw beer like pouring onto the ground.
Yeah. And it was like my Goose Island Bourbon County Stout, like coffee edition or whatever that I hadn't opened yet. But everything else,
you get that next year.
Yeah, I had multiple other things that I was very happy that they didn't break.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, I would have had to like disown my daughter and everything. It would have been terrible.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad.
I had to go give her a hug and be like, "It's okay.
It's okay, beer. Sweetie. Like, we don't care." Yeah.
Yeah, don't be upset.
At the end of the day, it's just beer.
Yeah.
That's funny. I had a similar experience where I have this old fridge in the garage that I got for free off like a Craigslist listing or whatever, because I wanted a beer fridge, and I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna like." When I used to live in a college town, fridges would pop up all the time, so I got it. So I got it, but it's kind of like old. It still works really well. I'm sure it's not energy efficient. But yeah, the plastic on one of the shelves was kind of brittle, and I had a bunch of exactly what you're talking about, like bombers on it. And it like broke. It's hard to describe, but the plastic that was holding the glass shattered and then fell. And all the bottles fell and like rolled out. And I saw this massive like spray, and I was like, oh no. Long story short, it was just like a Coke can that burst. None of the bottles actually broke.
Oh wow, that's impressive.
So I just took the whole thing out and like duct taped it all back together and put it back in. You know, refrigerators, those if you fill a whole shelf with bombers, or like the door thing with bombers, that's heavy. Oh, yeah. It's really heavy. Yeah, it's a lot of weight. Yeah. So you gotta be.
I know, I was like giving my fridge more credit than it.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. So
I guess I gotta drink some.
Yeah, that's a sign you gotta start drinking. What is it called? Drink your
cellar.
Drink your cellar. Yeah. All right. So next beer news is very sad. It's near and dear to Stephen and I's heart. Anchor Steam. After what, like 100+ years?
Yeah, it's basically the oldest craft beer. Well, one of the oldest.
Multiple fires.
Craft breweries.
If you want the whole story, you need to go listen to our deep dive of Anchor Steam. It's really good. And, well, they're going out of business, unfortunately. But there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes. I know.
Well, first off, I didn't actually realize that they had been bought by Sapporo.
Yes.
Like 2017, 2018, I think.
That was news to me as well, but we kind of uncovered that when we got the... Yeah, so they weren't really independent anymore. But unfortunately, I don't know. I'm very sad about it, Steven. I was reading a lot of comments on Reddit and stuff like that, and I understand a lot of it. Like, obviously, COVID affected a lot of breweries, but it's a lot of the oldest craft breweries aren't doing a great job of keeping up as well, where like they're just not competitive against some of these places like other half, you know, like these unbelievable craft brewers. Like the scene is so competitive now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you never know. Like, obviously, it's hard to say, like, what mistakes were made, or because you don't get the like intimate details of the financial decisions. And maybe if I dug a little deeper, I could find them. But a lot of people were just saying, like, yeah, like, when's the last time you drank like Anchor Steam or something like that? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, it's like people were upset when Toys R Us was closing or whatever, and then people were like, yeah. When do you go to Toys R Us? Like, never. You buy stuff on Amazon or Target or whatever, and then you're upset when this other chain goes out of business. But
there's a price that is paid.
There. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is really sad. Obviously, I want it to survive. There's a lot of irons in the fire. I know we were talking about it in the pre-roll, but some of the employees might try to buy it or keep it running, and
yeah, the workers union we're trying to buy some time to see if they can raise money and do some sort of run it as like a co-op brewery. So
yeah, and I read another article that said their sales increased by like thousands of % because like everyone when people got the news it's going out of business, people started buying like Anchor Steam beer and stuff because they're like, oh, we gotta drink it for the last time. So it got this like surge of new life, but they got to figure out if they can make it sustainable.
It's the going out of business sale. You just put the sign up. This is going out of business sale.
And we gotta
get more popular.
We have to revisit our deep dive. We should have done it in the pre-roll, but I feel like didn't some individual investor, was it Anchor Steam that he bought? Like, didn't it almost go out of business another time, or was that another brewery? I don't remember.
Well, Fritz Maytag, right? Fritz Maytag, I think.
Yes, it was Anchor Steam. He bought the whole. Yeah, it was. He bought the whole brewery. Didn't he?
Yeah. He saved it basically. Yeah.
So there's historical precedent for it to be saved at the last hour. So we'll be following this one closely, but we're both sad about it.
Well, what's funny is that a similar story. So and maybe the Bay Area is becoming. Maybe the Bay Area specifically, that beer market is becoming competitive and difficult to survive because we talked about going to Rare Barrel. I'm coming out to visit in September.
Yeah.
And we were talking about going to Rare Barrel. And for whatever reason, I wanted to look something up about them. And I saw something like permanently closed on the like Apple Maps or something. I was like, permanently closed? What? So then I look it up. And sure enough, Rare Barrel was going out of business, and they luckily were bought by Cellar Maker Brewery, which is another Bay Area brewery, and so they're going to keep them alive.
Oh, good.
They're going to continue to make beers. They're still making beers under the Rare Barrel name, still making the Rare Barrel like sour beers, but the tap room is closed for now.
Oh, dang.
So they're pouring those beers at Cellar Maker tap room. But because Cellar Maker was like in the process of opening a new tap room, they decided to focus on that for now, make sure like their tap rooms were doing well before they tried to reopen the Rare Barrel tap room. So
gotcha.
As of now, Rare Barrel's closed indefinitely until they kind of decide to sort of go back and focus on opening that up. But until then, Rare Barrel beers will be made and they will be poured at the Cellar Maker tap room.
Okay, that's good. So they survive.
Super disappointing, though.
Yeah, that is a bummer. Because
like it's just sad to see how the beer landscape is changing, and it's brutal out there.
It's brutal. There's a lot of winners and losers, but it's so saturated. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, I was having a discussion on Reddit actually about how models like Stone and Modern Times sort of overextended themselves.
Yeah.
And that's why they ended up having to either close or sell out or close tap rooms. But there was somebody like making the point that there's a difference between like overextending in terms of production and distribution and opening more tap rooms.
Okay.
Because just opening more tap rooms gets your beer out there, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be distributing and selling it in the grocery stores and stuff. Like if you're providing a place for people to come buy your beer, it can be done in a smart way, basically.
That makes sense. You're getting like into new markets and yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting. Like you can overextend yourself by opening too many new places, but you can also do open new places in a Yeah, and you can open new places without overextending yourself. In that, as long as you're using those tap rooms as a way to get beer to people, but not overextending into like trying to sell your beer more places and up your production. And I don't know, really interesting, just sort of discussion on how these different models are surviving or not surviving.
Right. Well, it's really hard because like at the end of the day, like you could do all the market research you want, but you're not gonna know until you actually like open like you open a new tap room in like a new city. You're not gonna know until like people either show up or they don't, and it's a lot of money to invest in that kind of expansion. So
yeah,
not for me, not for the faint of heart. Okay, my last news is for you, Steven. I already texted you, so you already know, but we have to do it on the podcast, so you have to act like you're surprised.
Genuine reaction here, folks.
There's apparently a new formulation of Otrivus.
What?
It's not prickly pear.
Lame.
So I don't think it's the original recipe, and maybe it is still the same, but I saw a post, a news article about Otrivus returning, and it has like the can looks different. So I don't know. I think they changed the recipe. Maybe it's really good. You got to find one. You got to drink it. You got to let us know.
Well, when I had it, I was at Sierra Nevada in Chico, and I got the pour, and I drank it, and I was like, this is not the same thing. And then I started like reading the description on the menu. I was like, wait, what? This is different. And the waitress was like, oh yeah, we changed the recipe. And it went from like being a prickly pear to a agave lime. So apparently it's still agave lime.
It's still agave lime.
So, but maybe they reformulated it to be better agave lime.
I don't know. It's probably not as good as the original, but I just want to let you know.
Yeah.
It's been reformulated. Look, we should try it.
Honestly, if I see Otrivus on the shelf at my grocery store, I'm going to be pretty excited about that.
Okay.
Just because it's like such a OG beer for me, and I haven't bought a Sierra Nevada beer at the store in a long time.
Yeah.
And I probably should before they go out of business. And I'm like, no.
They better not go out of business, but yeah. There's a lot of Titans dying, so...
I'll be so upset, and then someone will ask me, oh, when's the last time you bought a Citra?
Exactly. And you'll be like, oh no, I was a part of the problem the whole time. Alright, you ready to go into our deep dive of the brewery?
Okay. How deep are we diving in?
So, pretty deep, but I was actually shocked. The brewery was founded in 2008, Steven. For some reason, I thought the brewery had been...
Not first wave.
This is not first wave. It's funny, because I even read a interview with Patrick... So, first of all, Patrick Brew is the founder. His last name is R-U-E. So the brewery is spelled B-R-U-E-R-Y. Very clever. He put his last name right in the middle. Little play on words because it still is pronounced the brewery, but has his last name in it. So well done, well done.
Yeah, clever.
But he even said in an interview, like, oh yeah, we're not like... I don't even know if he used the word first wave. I think we adapted that from like coffee, the coffee waves. But he basically said like we're not. I think he said we're not OG. But yeah, okay. They're younger than I thought. They've only been around for 15 years. For some reason, I thought the brewery is much older than that. But yeah, so they've only been around for 15 years. So there's a lot we can get into, but not as it doesn't have as deep and as rich of a history that I was anticipating.
But still, I think like even 2008 was pretty.
Oh yeah, still definitely
early.
Early-ish. We call it second wave.
I mean, we're not talking 80s. But
yeah. We'll call it second wave.
Like late second wave.
Yeah, late second wave. But yeah, they opened in 2008, and they have a 15-barrel brew house. It's in California. And they have a lot of tenets, like philosophical ideas about their beer. So they say they make experimental ales brewed in the Belgian tradition. And then I think you talked about something that is kind of interesting, and I didn't think about this until you mentioned it. One of the other things is like they kind of want their beer to be shared. And I feel like they're one of the few breweries that like still, and I haven't been to the beer shop for a long time, but I feel like this may be true. I know they do cans, but I feel like they still do a lot of stuff in bombers. And part of their philosophy is like share the bomber, which makes sense because like a lot of the things they make, they're stronger stouts but they're designed to be shared, which is kind of cool. So they're kind of like one of their core philosophies is we want to make experiences that you can share with your friends.
Yeah. So most of their stuff still. Other than, you can get some of their, some, I guess, like, especially their pastry stuff. They have some series that are in cans, but yeah, a lot of their stuff still is in bottles. And not only is it in bottles, but it's also bottle conditioned.
Oh yeah, very cool.
That's another big thing that they like to do. So, but I think what's really funny about calling them a second wave. Second wave, I think, partially was defined by the IPA, where the hop wars, and one of the tenets of the brewery was that they were not going to brew an IPA at all.
Yeah, I came across that too. Patrick said we're not going to make an IPA, which is really funny. It's like such a, especially not so much today, because I feel like the IPA has lost. It's still super ultra popular, but it's lost a little bit of its dominance. But 10 years ago, saying you're not going to make an IPA is like insanity.
I know it's a little ahead of your time to be like, no, we're not gonna do that, and okay, and then now it looks so smart.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. So yeah, I want to bring up a couple other facts about Patrick. So he's, I said he started in his kitchen, just like home brewing before he actually went all the way in and started the brewery. But he's also, I don't know when he earned it, but he's a master cicerone. So he's one of the, we talked about the cicerone, beer cicerone on another episode. And, maybe we can postscript this and see how many masters there are, but it's a very...
No, it's only it's less than 15.
Yeah, it's a small...
I think.
Small community to get all the way up to master. Because is there 4 levels? There's 3 or 4.
Yeah, 4.
4, okay.
Yeah. And
Steven and I had, we played with the idea of just trying to get level 1. But even to get level 4, it's you have to go. It's like in Chicago or New York. They fly all, all the masters assemble. It's like getting on the Jedi Council, dude. It's
yeah, it's once a year it's test. Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. So the fact that he's a master cicerone is really impressive and super cool. That's bucket list material for me, but I know it's not even realistic that I could become a master cicerone. Maybe a level 1, maybe a level 2.
Well, level 1 is the just the beer server certification, whatever. And then level 2 is that's when you're actually a cicerone. You can call yourself a cicerone.
Okay, level 2 is where you have to take the first test, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Level 2, theoretically, you and I could probably get it done, but I don't think either of us is ever going to achieve the title of master.
No, that's we're probably just not in the beer industry enough.
Yeah, but yeah, I would love to be level 2 as a bucket list for me and Steven and I. But yeah, so he is a master cicerone.
So he was in law school?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he started law school and he was brewing beer just as a home brewer throughout law school. But he joked that he wanted to be a brewer when he got his grades at the end of his first year in law school because he didn't do that great.
Yeah,
and he said he just wasn't ever really that great at law, but he was really good at home brewing.
Yeah.
So he finished law school. He never took the bar because he decided to open his own brewery instead. So
very cool.
But yeah, he was very focused on doing experimental styles, using experimental ingredients, saisons, and brewing beers with dates and figs and spices. Definitely Belgian leaning, and sort of a lot of what they do too is oak barrel aged as well. So definitely the success of breweries and this is probably the group of breweries he's in terms of waves of beer, but Omegang, Allagash, Lost Abbey, I think those are all similar breweries, as well as breweries that inspired him and gave him confidence that he could actually make and sell these beers.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, kind of this. I mean, you kind of alluded to it, but some of the things they said on their website even is they want to create experiences. They want to see you say, how'd they do that? Make weird, interesting, unique things. And they're pretty successful. I mean, that's a really risky business model because a lot of your stuff is going to miss, but they do make some pretty cool beers. I absolutely love their horchata. They have an horchata beer that's based on the drink, the rice and cinnamon drink. Say cinnamon. Cinnamon always gets to my heart, Steven. But
yeah.
And it's one of my favorite beers from the brewery. And then obviously, I was searching. I don't know if I've actually had it, but we're going to talk about Black Tuesday. That's like one of their more famous beers. And it's one of the ones they pour. It's one of the ultra rare beers. It's super hard to get. Like, even if you go to a beer fest, like at Great American Beer Festival, I think they pour it for like, like an hour. So you have to make sure you circle back just to get the Black Tuesday. But
yeah, I drank it at the Firestone Walker.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And well, it was hard to drink in the heat.
Right. It wasn't good conditions.
I think it is like almost 20% ABV.
Yeah, not great conditions for drinking it.
It was a brutal beer to drink. Not something that you're going to drink very often.
Well, what's pretty cool is if you're a Bruery fan, they have a really nice YouTube channel where they do things called like Beyond the Barrel. Unfortunately, they don't have a lot of views. But if you're into the Bruery, check out It's Just the Bruery. That's their YouTube channel. And they actually there's 2 videos I wanted to talk about. But basically they do like tastings of all their beers as they come out. It's really cool. But they do a history of Black Tuesday and like the story behind making that beer. And it's an interview with Patrick. And they basically say like, he said he had a ton of grain that was like going to expire. And he's like, okay, we had to brew this. So they and I'm going to get the numbers wrong, but basically they overloaded their mash tun. And I think he realized he shouldn't have done this because this is part of the reason it was such a horrible experience. They put like way too much grain in it. And it stuck, grain stuck, which I've never even heard of this phenomenon until I saw this interview where like he said they couldn't get any liquid out of it. There's so much grain. It like blocked the liquid from coming out. So they had to like open the side valve and like it was a disaster and it like spilled all over the floor. So it was like a horrible brewing experience. And it coincided because the first time they brewed it was in 2008. So it kind of coincided with the housing meltdown. So the stock market is like crashing. So they make this beer. They don't know what to name it. It's, it's a stout and they end up aging it in barrels. And he even says like, it's really funny because he says like, they're aging it and then they kept tasting it every month. And he said it was like rocket fuel, like so disgusting. You can't drink it. And then after like, I can't remember, it was like 11 or 12 months. They're like, oh, it's amazing. So then they started selling it in the tap house and like people loved it. And he kind of did the call out what to name it. And someone had suggested Black Tuesday because it's a little, and he loved the idea because it was like, it was a nightmare to brew and it kind of coincided with like Black Monday was the stock market crash that initiated the Great Depression. And so it was Black Tuesday because it was like the 2008 financial crisis. And then it's kind of cool because the other thing that kind of dovetailed into, which I didn't know, but they were really ahead of their time with like subscription models because Black Tuesday got really popular. So I think it was the first time, maybe it was the second year. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on the dates, but they were going to do the pouring of it. And he said there was like a massive line out the front of the brewery. And they were like, oh no, like we don't have enough to pour for all these people. And they said they had a single register and that credit card machine was like on dial-up connection. And they're like, this is going to be such a bad day. And that's when they were like, oh, we should do like a subscription program. So I think they're one of the earlier like membership models where you could pay a fee per year and then it kind of guarantees you access to their rare brews. So kind of cool. So they were definitely ahead of their time on that. But it was kind of out of necessity because that beer specifically got so popular. It got more popular than they could produce to meet the demand. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I think they call it their Reserve Society.
Mm-hmm. That sounds right. It's expensive.
Yeah, $325.
Yeah, $325 a year, but you get 12 of the big bombers, 750 milliliters. And then you get discounts online and in the tasting rooms. And then you get access to like, they have exclusive beers that they offer only to members.
They also have another one that's $70 a quarter.
Oh, okay. So what is that?
And that gets you a quarterly box of 4. That's actually not bad. You get a box quarterly with 4 big bottles in it. It's almost like it would be something where you're not close to the tap room,
mm-hmm.
or because basically you're just missing out on the like access to the like exclusive beers. You don't save as much online or in the tasting room, so and you don't get like there's like a gift. So I don't know. The $70 a quarter is not a bad deal.
Yeah, and you could just do that for 1 quarter, so you could always try it and just see if you like it.
I do think you have to, if you're shipping your box, you have to pay $15 to ship your box as well. But
okay. Then there's one that says invite only. So
that's the Hoarders Society.
Who knows how you get into that? But yeah,
plus members only included beers. Huh.
There's one more video I want to talk about on their. They have a how to make banana beers on their YouTube, and it's an interview with one of the gentlemen that works there. I guess he runs their like barrel aged program, and he said that bananas are super hard to work with, which is what we've heard. And they've tried it like 1,000 different ways where you use like actual bananas. But the thing that they found that works the best is like they get puree. It's like pureed bananas. But he said it was really difficult because to like dose the fermentation, you'd have to like climb up this ladder and like you have this huge like 30-pound thing of pureed bananas. It's like it's just a big like bag, and then you unscrew the top and you have to like pour it out. And it was like it was really dangerous because you're like, it's a very unsteady situation to do that. So eventually they figured out they like reverse engineered. They used this positive pressure pump. It's like a super strong pump, so it could suck the puree up. And they used they kind of reverse engineered this like pump and this spigot that they used to take the beer out. But they'd clean it and use it to like positively force the banana puree into the huge fermenter. And that's like the cleanest and easiest way to do it. And apparently that Thai banana puree is like, that's how you get the best flavor. So I thought that was kind of cool because I have a weird obsession with banana stouts this year. I actually have, Steven, I have an other half banana stout. And I think I'm gonna save it and we'll drink it when you visit, among other things. But yeah.
They definitely use Thai bananas.
Yes, they do. I made sure. But yeah, so that was pretty cool. I really like their YouTube channel. They actually have a review, or they're kind of like a video about their horchata. It says everyone's favorite horchata inspired ales back. So I might check out some of these videos, but pretty cool YouTube presence.
So the horchata beer, what is the base? Like a blonde or something?
I think so. It's blonde ale. Yep. It's a blonde ale with rice, milk, sugar, cinnamon, and vanilla. It's based on the popular drink originating in Spain and Latin America. It's really good. If you like horchata, it's basically like drinking that, except it's a beer. It has alcohol in it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I think they make it every year. I've seen it. It says out of stock right now, but so the other thing is like the Bruery, among other brewers, has gotten a lot better about, and I try to dig into this, maybe we could postscript this, but there's a really complex set of laws around shipping beer and all that stuff. But you can order a lot of beers on the Bruery. And then also we discovered, we kind of alluded to the fact that Patrick was like, hey, I'll never make an IPA. Well, technically they do make an IPA, but it will not come out under the name The Bruery. They have a whole nother program called Offshoot, and they called it Offshoot, which is pretty funny. It's literally called like Offshoot Company, and they make a bunch of IPAs and hazy IPAs and stuff like that. And those beers you can order. So like you can just kind of put them in your cart, and depending on what state you live in, you can just get them shipped to you, which is pretty cool. So more and more I am seeing like, because I did it the first time with it was the first time I ever, I think it was last year, but I ordered directly from Firestone. It depends on what state you live in, but I feel like a lot of these breweries are just like making their beer available on their website and they'll just ship it to you, which is pretty cool.
Especially California breweries within California, you're going to be able to get them for sure.
Yeah.
I was looking at the Brewery Society page, and it says which states they ship to.
Oh, okay.
So you have to be in California, DC, North Dakota, New Hampshire, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, or Vermont. That's
okay.
it.
That's a pretty limited list.
So you're lucky to be in California. I think Great Notion is doing that too. You can just get Great Notion beers sent right to you.
Oh, really? Where I live? I'm looking right now. Stephen. I'm gonna get that. What's the mangosteen beer?
Yeah, Overripe.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah, so I was just reading, they actually broke it into 3 different brewing facilities. So they do their clean beers, and then they do the like infected sour.
Oh, okay.
Sour and wild ales. They do that one. That's the brewery Tavour. And then the third splinter, or the third brewing facility, is the Offshoot Beer Company, which makes all the IPAs.
Okay.
So I love that, like, we all make concessions in our, Greg Koch sold off Stone after being very anti-selling out.
True.
You know what I mean? Like, we all have a breaking point, I guess. And at some point they realized they did need to make
we gotta make
IPAs.
an IPA. Yeah.
And I guess it became he just would never make it under the original brewery label, so he had to make a new label.
Well, it's not the first time we've seen this, because, like, remember with Arrogant Ale, we were talking about that, and we realized it's not actually Stone. They spun off, like, I think it's called Arrogant Ales or whatever. So, yeah.
It was like they couldn't... that was a weird one, because it was like the Arrogant Bastard brand was, like, not...
What'd they say?
Like, it wasn't, like, a good representation of Stone's brand or whatever.
Yeah, their brand identity.
Thing. I'm like, you made the beer.
Yeah, it's like you guys originally made the beer, but anyways, they spun it off.
It's like it has become sentient or something, and they had to just cut it off.
So it's like under its own label, but yeah, it's kind of similar to this, but it's a clever way to do it. I mean, because, to the normal consumer, they're never going to, like, dig that deep. And it's kind of like when Comcast rebranded their internet to Xfinity. I don't even know if they're still Xfinity, because they had, like, such horrible customer reviews that they were like, let's just change our name. And, like, most people won't notice. But it's like, no, this is still the same garbage service you're getting from the same brand. They just changed the name of it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
What else do we want to say about the brewery? So we covered Offshoot, covered their barrel programs, like their subscription programs. Oh, they're not really independent anymore. So they did sell a majority share to Castanea Partners, which is a private equity firm. So I'm assuming if they said a majority share, that's like a controlling interest, right?
Yeah, that was in 2017. So in 2008, they were founded. Till 2017, it was owned and operated by Patrick Rue and his father, Mike Rue.
Okay.
And then mostly is this private equity firm became financial backing so that they could expand.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where they stand. I think they're still considered an independent craft brewer, because one of the main criteria for that is that you're not owned by a larger beverage conglomerate, right?
And this is a private equity firm. It's not like beer isn't their
like
thing.
Financial backing, basically. Gotcha. Not like a bigger.
So it's just an investor. So maybe they can still they could still, like, run the independent label. I don't know if they do, but
I'm pretty sure they do. I'm pretty sure they still qualify for the Craft Brewers Association.
The
independent label. Yeah, it's mostly just a way for them to expand.
Makes sense. They needed money to expand.
And then Patrick Rue, he became part owner of Moonlight Brewing. So Moonlight Brewing was a sort of a cult favorite craft brewery in Santa Rosa. Their big beer was their most famous beer was this black Czech-style Pilsner called Death and Taxes.
Amazing name.
Yeah, and they sold to Lagunitas.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Or at least they sold half. They were partially owned by Lagunitas, and then Patrick Rue came in and bought that half from Lagunitas.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So they sort of went independent, non-independent, back to independent, being owned by now Patrick Rue being half owner.
Very interesting.
Honestly, that feels like feels like just a way. Like I'm sure Patrick Rue was just a fan of the beer,
right?
And probably saw, like, the writing on the wall of maybe Moonlight going out of business. Maybe Lagunitas was gonna just shut it down or something, and decided to just save it.
Yeah.
For the sake of saving it.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm looking at a picture of Death and Taxes.
Not a super popular style of beer you see.
Right.
The black lager.
Huh. Very cool. Interesting.
So that's what Patrick Rue's doing now. He's got his own brewery and then investing in other breweries.
Yeah. The man likes beer.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Do you want to say anything else about the brewery?
Number 2 rated California brewery on Untapped.
Oh, nice.
I don't know what number 1 is. Probably Russian River or something like that.
Yeah. For Sierra Nevada beer?
They have 12 total Great American Beer Fest medals.
Oh, medals. Nice.
Their Ode Tart, I think, in 2010, it was like some sort of sour beer. They won both the World Beer Championship and the Great American Beer Festival in that sour category. They won gold in both those categories. So
oh, wow.
2010 Ode Tart, kind of one of their famous beers. But yeah, definitely. It's kind of funny that how I think it was last week we were talking about diving into this history a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So it is interesting that it's not as old as we thought.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they didn't hit the 5 pillars of the deep dive.
They haven't had a fire. Just Black Tuesday, where the beer was pouring out all over the floor.
And if you're not familiar, the 5 pillars of the deep dive are war, fire, tax evasion, prohibition, and style is carried on or revived by a single person. But they missed most of the war and prohibition. So
yeah. At least he saved a beer called Death and Taxes.
There you go. So he hit at least one of the pillars of the deep dive.
But yeah, no, just if you see some brewery stuff, check it out. I really love their banana bread stout.
Okay.
Their whatever it's called, pastry series, whatever their pastry series is.
Yes.
It's very good. But always cool to see. Honestly, nowadays it is so common to see like all these stouts and beers brewed with like weird ingredients and lots of adjuncts and stuff, but that wasn't something that was going on as much in 2008.
No, I feel like they were ahead of their time on that for sure.
So for sure on the adjuncted beers, they were out there, especially in Southern California, where breweries like Stone in this hop war and making these really, really hoppy West Coast IPA styles, and he was like, "No, I'm going to do something different."
Yeah, he's like, "I'm not going to make an IPA."
Yeah, just a cool way to stand out and just a pioneer, I think, for sure in the adjuncted experimental beers.
Yeah, for sure.
Love it.
All right, really cool. Well, not as deep as we thought it was going to be. I think that's almost like a credit to the brewery too. Is like I thought they were older than they were. So
yeah,
it actually surprises me that they're not that old, because I feel like their reputation built up pretty fast, which is a good sign. I will say very expensive. They're one of the more expensive micro or craft breweries. Yeah, for sure.
That was one of those like where you're at the beer festival and you're like, we got to drink a beers.
I told Steven. I think the first time we went. Yeah, because we have like a really fancy bottle shop in my town that has all like really fancy beers, and they have a pretty large section dedicated to brewery. But it's always like, oh, those are expensive, dude. Those are gonna hurt the pocketbook. So. But all right, cool. Well, I think that's an episode. We are Attenuation, a podcast. You can contact us we're on Instagram at attenuation.podcast. Steven does a great job posting pictures of beer there.
So many pictures of beer. Yeah,
so many great beers he's had. And you can also email us at contact.attenuation@gmail.com. But this has been episode 98. Steven, we're almost to 100 episodes. I can't believe it.
I have a party.
Yeah, we gotta think of something cool to do for number 100. We gotta each drink a real special beer. But my name's Jason, and I'm joined by my best friend since 8th grade, Steven.
All right, that's me.
And we're saying, you forgot your line, so you were rusty.
I was like, oh crap.
What do I say? So yeah, cheers and thank you, and we'll see you next week for episode. Well, maybe we'll see you next time we record.
We'll see you next time we record. Yeah. Making promises you can't.
Yeah,
keep.
I know. I got a little daughter at home that keeps me very busy. So we'll see you next time we record for episode 99 of Attenuation. Woo!
All right. Cheers, buddy.
All right, cheers.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Attenuation, a beer podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and follow us on Instagram or Facebook for more fun content. Catch you next week. Cheers!